The prehistory of the Levant includes the various cultural changes that occurred, as revealed by archaeological evidence, prior to recorded traditions in the area of the Levant. Archaeological evidence suggests that Homo sapiens and other hominid species originated in Africa and that one of the routes taken to colonize Eurasia was through the Sinai Desert and the Levant, which means that this is one of the most important and most occupied in history of the world. Not only have many cultures and traditions of humans lived here, but also many species of the genus Homo. In addition, this region is one of the centers for the development of agriculture. Cultures. The earliest traces of the human occupation in the southern Levant are documented in Ubaidiya, Israel in the Jordan Valley, dated to the Lower Paleolithic period, California, 1.4 million years ago. The lithic assemblages relate to the early Acheulean culture. Later Acheulean sites include Gesher Bennett Urakov, Taboon Cave and others dated to the time span of California, 1,400,000–250,000 years ago. This layer contains the world's first signs of domesticated dogs and controlled usage of fire. Lower Paleolithic human remains from the southern Levant are scarce. They include isolated teeth from Ubaidiya, long bone fragments from Gesher Bennett Urakov, and a fragmentary skull from Zutia Cave. The Middle Paleolithic period is represented in the Levant by the Mousterian culture, known from numerous sites through the region. The chronological subdivision of the Mousterian is based on the stratigraphic sequence of the Taboon Cave. Middle Paleolithic human remains include both the Neanderthals and anatomically modern humans from Jebel Kafzer and Skull Cave. The Upper Paleolithic period is dated in the Levant to California, 48,000–20,000. EPI Paleolithic period is characterized by significant cultural variability and widespread of the microlithic technologies. Beginning with the appearance of the Kabaran culture, a microlithic toolkit was associated with the appearance of the bow and arrow into the area. Kabaran shows affinities with the earlier Helwin phase in the Egyptian fame, and may be associated with a movement of people across the Sinai associated with the climatic warming after the late glacial maxima of 20,000 BCE. Kabaran-affiliated cultures spread as far as southern Turkey. The latest part of the period is the time of flourishing of the Nachafian culture and development of sedentism among the hunter-gatherers. Nachafian This culture existed from about 13,000 to 9,800 BC in the Levant. A lot of archaeological excavations of this culture creates a relatively well-defined understanding of these people. One of the most significant aspects of this culture was their large community sizes and sedentary lifestyles. Although the late Nachafian experienced a slight reversal in this trend as their community size shrank and they became more nomadic. It is believed that this culture continued through and was the foundation for the Neolithic revolution. Neolithic period. The Neolithic period is traditionally divided to the pre-pottery and pottery phases. PPNA developed from the earlier Nachafian cultures of the area. This is the time of the agricultural transition and development of farming economies in the Near East, and the region's first known megaliths with a burial chamber and tracking of the sun or other stars. In addition, the Levant in the Neolithic and Chalcolithic was involved in large-scale, far-reaching trade. Obsidian found in the Chalcolithic levels at Gilit, Israel have had their origins traced via elemental analysis to three sources in southern Anatolia: Hotames Dag, Golalu Dag, and as far east as Nemrut Dag itself 500 kilometers east of the other two sources. This is indicative of a very large trade circle reaching as far as the northern Fertile Crescent at Nemrut Dag and as far north as Hotames Dag. The Garsulian period created the basis of the Mediterranean economy which has characterized the area ever since. A Chalcolithic culture, the Garsulian economy was a mixed agricultural system consisting of extensive cultivation of grains, intensive horticulture of vegetable crops, commercial production of vines and olives, and a combination of transhumance and nomadic pastoralism. The Gasulian culture, according to Juris Zarins, developed out of the earlier Munhata phase of what he calls the Circumarabian nomadic pastoral complex, probably associated with the first appearance of Semites in this area. Geographically, the area is divided between the coastal plain, hill country to the east and the Jordan Valley joining the Sea of Galilee to the Dead Sea. Rainfall decreases from the north to the south, with the result that the northern region of Israel has generally been more economically developed than the southern one of Judah. The area's location at the center of three trade routes linking three continents made it the meeting place for religious and cultural influences from Egypt, Syria, Mesopotamia, and Asia Minor. A coastal route connecting Gaza and the Philistine coast north to Joppa and Megiddo, traveling north through Byblos to Phoenicia and Anatolia. A hill route traveling through the Negev, Kadesh Barnea, to Hebron and Jerusalem, and thence north to Samaria, Shechem, Shiloh, Beth-shean and Hazor, and thence to Kadesh and Damascus. The King's Highway, traveling north from Eilat, east of the Jordan through Amman to Damascus, and connected to the Frankincense Road, north from Yemen and South Arabia. The area seems to have suffered from acute periods of desiccation and reduced rainfall, which has influenced the relative importance of settled versus nomadic ways of living. The cycle seems to have been repeated a number of times, during which a reduced rainfall increases periods of fallow, with farmers spending increasing amounts of time with their flocks and away from cultivation. Eventually they revert to fully nomadic cultures, which, when rainfall increases, settle around important sources of water and begin to spend increasing amounts of time on cultivation. The increased prosperity leads to a revival of inter-regional and eventually international trade. The growth of villages rapidly proceeds to increased prosperity of market towns and city-states, which attract the attention of neighboring great powers, who may invade to capture control of regional trade networks and possibilities for tribute and taxation. Warfare leads to opening the region to pandemics, with resultant depopulation, overuse of fragile soils and a reversion to nomadic pastoralism. Early and Middle Bronze Age, the urban development of Canaan lagged considerably behind that of Egypt and Mesopotamia and even that of Syria, where from 3500 BCE a sizable city developed at Hammouka. This city, which was conquered, probably by people coming from the southern Iraqi city of Uruk, saw the first connections between Syria and southern Iraq that some have suggested lie behind the patriarchal traditions. Urban development again began, culminating in the early Bronze Age development of sites like Ebla, which by 2300 BCE was incorporated once again into an empire of Sargon, and then Naram-Sin of Akkad. The archives of Ebla show reference to a number of biblical sites, including Hazor, Jerusalem, and a number of people have claimed also to Sodom and Gomorrah, mentioned in the patriarchal records. The collapse of the Akkadian Empire saw the arrival of peoples using Kerbuk-Kerik ware pottery, coming originally from the Zagros Mountains, east of the Tigris. It is suspected by some that this event marks the arrival in Syria and Palestine of the Hurrians, people later known in the biblical tradition possibly as Hurrites. The following Middle Bronze Age period was initiated by the arrival of Amorites from Syria in southern Iraq, an event which people like Albright associated with the arrival of Abraham's family in Ur. This period saw the pinnacle of urban development in the area of Syria and Palestine. Archaeologists show that the chief state at this time was the city of Hazor, which may have been the capital of the region of Israel. This is also the period in which Semites began to appear in larger numbers in the Nile Delta region of Egypt. For some time it was felt that the portrayal of the tomb of Beni Hassan showed evidence for the story of Joseph's coat of many colors. Timeline.